That day was just like any other ordinary day. I was returning home from work, tired, exhausted, lost in my own thoughts. The bus was crowded. Everyone seemed buried in their own worries. Suddenly, the bus stopped. A disabled girl stepped in, walking slowly with crutches. Her clothes were simple, but her face carried a strange dignity. She spoke softly to the conductor. "Brother, if you allow, I'll pay the fare tomorrow. I don't have money with me today." The conductor frowned. "This is not a charity bus. If you don't have money, get off." Silence. All the passengers stayed quiet. Some smiled mockingly. Others looked away. The girl stood there, holding her crutches tightly, her eyes quietly filling with tears. Something inside me shook. I don't know why, but I felt that if I didn't help her, I would lose something inside myself forever. I took money out of my pocket and handed it to the conductor. "Make her ticket." The girl looked at me. Her eyes were full of words, but she only said, "May God reward you." I smiled. "It's nothing, sister. The journey belongs to all of us." As she was getting off the bus, she paused for a moment. She took out a small folded paper from her bag and placed it in my hand. "Keep this and open it when you are truly helpless." I laughed lightly. Why would I ever be helpless? She only smiled and walked away. Years later, years passed. Life moved on. I got married. I had 2 children. I worked in a private company. The salary wasn't much, but it was enough to survive. Until one day, everything changed. The company suddenly shut down. The owner left the country. We were left without salaries, without hope. That day, as I returned home, the school fees, house rent, electricity bills, all stood in front of me, like dark shadows. Months passed. I searched for work, but found nothing. Debts increased. Relatives slowly distanced themselves. One night, when I was drowning in worry, I reached into my pocket, and suddenly, I found that old piece of paper. My heart started racing. I opened it. Written on it was, "When all doors close, come to this door." And below it, an address. The door that changed everything. The next morning, I made a decision. No matter how strange it sounded, I would go to that address. The place was in one of the richest areas of the city. That alone surprised me. When I arrived, I froze. In front of me stood a huge mansion, a tall gate, a beautiful garden, luxury cars parked outside. I looked at myself, my simple clothes, my tired face, and whispered, "This can't be the place." Before I could think further, the gate opened. A guard stepped forward. He looked at me carefully, then said, "Sir, she has been waiting for you." My heart started pounding. Waiting for me. I walked inside slowly. Every step felt heavier than the last. And then, I saw her. She was coming down the stairs. The same girl, but different. No crutches, no weakness. She walked with confidence, with grace, with power. I stood there speechless. She stopped in front of me, looked into my eyes, and said, "Yes, it's me." I couldn't believe it. She smiled softly. That day was a test. My mind went blank. She continued, "I am the head of my late father's company. I wanted to see who truly has humanity." She paused, then said, "Many people saw me that day, but no one helped." Her eyes met mine. "Except you." I didn't know what to say. She stepped closer. "Today, I need someone honest." My heart skipped. "You will lead our new project." As a manager, tears filled my eyes. In that moment, I understood something powerful. Sometimes, a small act of kindness returns as a life-changing miracle. A new life begins. Life changed. A good salary, a house, a car. But more than all that, respect, real respect. I worked with honesty, day and night. The company began to grow, faster than ever. One day she said to me, "I have wealth, but I don't have trust." She looked at me deeply. "Trust needs someone like you." Those words meant more than money, a bond beyond work. Slowly, something deeper formed between us. Respect, understanding, a quiet connection. She respected my family. I respected her strength. One day I asked her, "What if I had thrown away that paper?" She smiled. "Goodness always finds its way." A bigger purpose. Years passed. The company expanded. Hundreds of people got jobs. But we didn't stop there. One day she said, "Let's build something bigger. A charity foundation." I agreed. We started helping disabled people, poor families, students, and sometimes we returned to the same buses, the same places where she once tested people. The lesson, years later, I stood by my office window, looking at the world below, and I asked myself, what if I hadn't helped that day? Maybe I would still be unemployed, hopeless, lost. But now I knew. It's not money that changes life. It's intention. The test of loss. Life was finally peaceful. Maybe too peaceful. And that's when another test arrived. One evening, she called me to her office. Her face was serious. Different. She said, "The company is under heavy financial pressure. If this project fails, we could lose everything." I looked at the documents. The risk was huge. If we moved forward, we could either rise to the top or lose it all. I took a deep breath. I don't believe in blind risk, but I believe in honesty. If our intention is right, we will find a way. She smiled. "That's why I trust you." A deeper understanding. As we worked together, our connection grew deeper. Not love, but something real, something strong. She had seen loneliness behind wealth, and I had seen helplessness behind poverty. One day she said, "People think money is everything, but when I had everything, I was alone." I replied softly, "A person is truly rich when someone stands with them, in both pain and happiness." She nodded. "And you were that person." Shadows of jealousy. But success always brings enemies. Some people in the company began to talk. Rumors spread. They said, "He got this position because of her." One day I went to her and said, "If my presence is causing problems, I will resign." She looked at me firmly. "No." Her voice was strong. "I will never let go of someone who stood strong in hard times." That day, I understood something important. Trust is not proven by words, but by actions. The charity grows. We expanded the charity foundation. We built training centers for disabled people. We created free transport systems. We gave hope where there was none. One day, a little girl came to our office. She had an artificial leg. She said, "I want to become a doctor, just like people who help others." My eyes filled with tears. I saw the past in her. I told her, "You will succeed because your will is stronger than your body." The unexpected news. Then, life changed again. Suddenly, she fell ill. Doctors said, "The treatment will be long." Money was not the problem, but time and health are never in human control. One day, She said to me, "If I'm not here one day, don't stop the foundation." My voice broke. "You will be fine." She smiled gently. "Everyone leaves one day, but their work remains." The day everything fell silent. The treatment continued. But one day, she was gone. Just like that. I stood in the middle of that big hall. Everything was there. Money, company, success. But she wasn't. I went into her office, opened her drawer, and found that same paper again. On the back, in small handwriting, it said, "Even if I'm gone, keep doing good, because the world stands on the shoulders of kind people." Tears fell from my eyes. That day, I realized some people leave, but their message never dies. The last journey. After she was gone, that big house felt empty. Everything was still there. The carpets, the paintings, the expensive furniture. But she was not. I spent most of my time in her office. Sometimes I felt like she would walk down the stairs again and say, "We have a new project today." But there was only silence. One day, I found another letter in her drawer. It said, "If you ever feel alone, go closer to people, because loneliness is healed through service." That day, I made a decision. I would not let her mission end. The weight of responsibility. The company was now completely on my shoulders. Some partners thought I would fail. One day, a businessman said to me, "If we bend the rules a little, we can make huge profits." I replied calmly, "We want profit, but not at the cost of someone's rights." He laughed. "This kind of business doesn't work anymore." I looked at him and said, "Then we will make the impossible possible." The bus again. Years later, one day, I decided to ride a bus again. The same route. The bus was crowded. A young boy got on. He didn't have enough money. The conductor got angry. I was about to step forward. But before I could, a little girl, maybe 10 years old, gave her pocket money. I froze, and then I smiled. Kindness had continued. A hidden truth. One evening, her old lawyer came to see me. He handed me a sealed envelope. Inside it said, "That day on the bus, I realized the world still has good people. If you ever feel tired, remember, you were someone's reason to hope." Tears filled my eyes. I never thought my small act could become someone's belief. A lesson for my son. One day my son asked, "Father, why do you always help others? We are already rich." I made him sit beside me and told him the whole story. When I finished, he said softly, "So if you hadn't helped that day, we wouldn't be here today." I smiled. Maybe life would be different, but I wouldn't have peace. Goodness without a name. After that, I started helping people quietly. No name, no recognition, just help. One day, a man came and said, "Someone paid for my daughter's surgery." I don't know who it was. I just smiled. I felt like she was watching from above, saying, "Keep going. Time moves on." Years passed. My hair turned white. My steps slowed down. But every time I saw a bus or a helpless person, my heart returned to that day, the truth of life. Now I understand. A person doesn't become great by wealth. A person becomes great by impact. And impact happens when you feel someone else's pain as your own. If someone asks me, "What was the most important day of your life?" I answer, "The day I paid for a ticket." Because that day did not just change my destiny. It changed my mind, my heart, my future generation. The final days. Old age came. My body became weak. Doctors said my heart was failing. At night, I would sit in her office and speak to her picture. You always told me not to get tired. But now, I am tired. Silence. Only the ticking of the clock. The fall. A global crisis came. Companies collapsed. Ours struggled and finally fell. Partners said, "Sell everything, save yourself." I thought deeply. That company was not just business. It was her memory. But I signed the papers. If the name survives, it's enough. The legacy continues. The charity became smaller. We couldn't help everyone anymore. Then one day, that little girl, now a doctor, came to me. She said, "Now it's my turn. You rest." My eyes filled with tears. I understood. Buildings can fall, but ideas never die. The last bus ride. One day, I took one last bus ride. The same road. This time, I was an old man. A young boy got on. Without money. I tried to reach into my pocket, but it was empty. Before I could speak, another passenger paid for him. I closed my eyes and smiled. The story continued. Without me. The last night. That night, I felt a strange peace. I drank some water, looked at her picture, and whispered, "I tried, the way you wanted." My son sat beside me. I held his hand and said softly, "Son, if you lose everything, don't lose your humanity." My breath slowed, and then silence. After everything, after I was gone, everything changed. The house was sold. The company belonged to someone else. My name slowly faded. But one day, a young doctor performed a free surgery for a poor child. That doctor was that same little girl. She told her students, "I became a doctor because one man once bought a ticket for a girl." No one remembered my name, but that didn't matter. The eternal truth. People die, companies disappear, homes collapse, but kindness, if it comes from the heart, lives on in someone else's life. And that is the real life of a human. This is not just a story. It is a legacy.